What is Screen Smart movement today? Actually started as a tiny little spark, or I would say a eureka moment that happened way back in 2003 when I was a student myself. That was a small incident where I had used a search engine for a very short time, because back then it was a desktop and it was a dial-up connection and I had hardly half an hour to myself to use it. But I found myself losing some parts of my cognitive abilities. I found myself missing my old brain, something that I was able to do very easily 3 months before that, I was not able to. And I caught myself at that moment and then I started questioning it. Mind you, back then, there was no social media, there was not much gaming, there was not any of the things that we have today, no AI or anything. It was just simple search engines, very slow connections and very little access to the internet. And even with that very little, I saw myself losing something and I started treading it with caution. So I told myself at that point that the internet is not going to use me, I will use the internet. That was the only clarity that I had at that point. At that point, internet was new, it was there, and it was cutting edge technology and it was considered the greatest gift to mankind. And here I was questioning something when people had not even started seeing anything that was negative and only positives. And this urge became stronger as a mother. When I had my daughter in 2007 and my son in 2009, and I made a decision to bring them up screen free, was when I had to really prove my decision was right. And that's how my journey began. And I started reading up a lot, and it really helped that I was in a job that meant meeting many children on a day-to-day basis and many families. So as a pediatric dentist and an exclusive pediatric dentist, I had access to meeting almost 20 families every day. And as a teacher in a college, I'm a former assistant professor of pediatric dentistry. So I taught undergraduates for 8 years, which meant I met hundreds of students on a day-to-day basis for 8 years. And then I switched to school teaching, which was 12 years of classroom to school teaching, which meant different grades of children and different subjects, especially performing arts. So this gave me access into the worlds and minds of children. It gave me access to watch them in a group, watch them alone, observe them, see them in highly stressful situations, how they're able to respond, how they're interacting with others, and therefore look at their behavior. When I was having conversations with people started telling me that, what, your content is really good. It's really interesting. We're not finding this content anywhere. Why don't you make it into a talk? I was a school teacher at that point, plus a pediatric dentist. So I thought, let me take it to my middle schoolers and see how it goes. I did it as a 3-part session, which was called The Silent Hijack. And what I received that day was something that I did not expect. It was overwhelming response from the children. They all stayed back. They had a lot of questions. They had a lot to discuss. And what really stood out for me was the children who were on the spectrum were the ones who responded the best, who were the ones who came and asked me more questions, were the ones who took up the initiative to change things, to reduce their screen time. And they went back home and spoke to their parents, and the parents wanted me to do the silent hijack for them. And that's how it started. And therefore, my Screen Safe School project, which is a part of the Screen Smart movement, through that, I meet the school first and the teachers. I establish certain ground rules and agreements with the teachers. I first understand the culture of the school. How much are they first dependent on technology for their daily communications, for homework, for assignments? Do they have smart boards in their classroom? Are the children expected to research online in middle school or in primary school? So these are the things that I find out. I take a baseline data, and then I kind of try to establish some agreements around what do we use it for, what do we not use it for, which classes, what rules apply, and all of that. And once we've established that with the school and the teachers and the management, then I move on to the parent community. With the parent community, I do the full-blown silent hijack lecture, which is 3 hours long, which is basically the neuroscience behind the impact of screens, which is an interactive session where there are questions and answers and some games and activities. And we establish the correlation and the logical connection between what happens when a early brain or a developing brain is subjected to screen time use. I do it by taking a baseline questionnaire of screen usage, of the parents understanding what is happening in their house, how is their attitude towards screens, when was the child first given a screen, what type of content is the child consuming, is there someone with the child when the child is consuming, or they're doing it by themselves, do they have any kind of parental controls on their children's gadgets, how early was it introduced to them, are they dependent on it for mealtime, things like that. So we get a baseline data, and then at the end of the session, the parents are given some handouts. Most often the parents come to the session because they want to go back and tell their child what to do. They want to go back and correct their children. But the point is not that. And every single time we achieve it, that the parents come back and say that we actually came to go and correct our children, but we realize that we need to correct ourselves first. We need to first, regulate our screen time, which is the whole point of it. So then they're given out a handout where they can tick and choose a few things that they want to do for the next 30 days. The 30 days they do it, and then we try to get a follow-up and ask them how they're feeling, how they're doing, have they been able to achieve it, what were the difficulties with it, and what changes are they seeing. Today we stand at 260 plus sessions, and the Silent Hijack has now grown into the Screen Smart movement, where we have worked with a lot of schools, a lot of institutions, organizations, colleges, communities, gated communities, and individual families. Objective of this is to reach, mainly the core of this is the children, because the children are the ones most affected by it. But most people like to blame the children and say, in the kalathu kolandinga, the problem is not with our children, but with the environment we have created for them. And who is the environment? The parents, the teachers, and the rest of the family. I do a baseline data collection and a post. So 4-week, 8-week, 12-week follow-up about various things. And I have data which I've analyzed so far of 1,200 adolescents, in whom we saw the best results with sleep. The maximum change was about 66% of the children, I think, have reported better sleep quality and more sleep, better sleep hygiene. Many of them have reported, I think more than 40% have reported better conversations at home. Many of them, again, another 30 to 40% have identified that they are having better self-control and better attention and focus. And whenever I did classes for prevention, which was with pregnant moms or with moms of infants and toddlers, we were able to achieve prevention. And because they were my patients, I was able to follow through with them. Now many of them are in college. Some of them are in high school, some of them are in middle school and primary school. And the difference is like day and night. And when I say the difference is day and night, I'm not saying that these children are extraordinary. It's just that these children have achieved their full potential, which is the normal child. So, which is why now, after the Screen Smart movement, Screen Safe Schools, and Screen Smart Community Project, now and Screen Smart Families, now I've started something called the Screen Free Beginnings, which is the Unhijacked 1000 Days project, where we completely keep the children zero screens from up to 1000 days, so 0 to 1000. Still, I think as a country, India is still way behind, that we have not really started identifying this as even an issue. That we're still looking at smart classrooms and AI and all of this as only way forward. And the usual argument is that this is where the world is headed. Yes, this is where the world is headed, and therefore more need to tread with caution for developing children, for the developing brain. They don't need it. All they need is real people, real time, real experiences, real interactions, and that's all they need to develop to their full potential. And then they are better equipped to handle AI or technology or anything where the world is headed. My dream might seem a bit too far-fetched, but this is what I dream for Coimbatore and maybe other cities later on. Like how when one goes to Singapore, you know that you're not supposed to litter and you might be imprisoned, and then no matter how you were in your country or, what you used to do, you go there and then you behave yourself. In Coimbatore, we have a culture where when people come into Coimbatore, they know that, in Coimbatore, people don't take out their phones in social places. People don't use phones to feed babies. They don't use phones when the baby throws a tantrum to distract the children, to make them behave. And they're very conscious. And therefore, if I go to Coimbatore and I do this, I will be judged. Something like that. But at least people should think twice before they take their phones out to do whatever they want, to get their babies to do whatever they want, or even for themselves, or even when they're having a conversation to even look at their phone. That kind of a consciousness, that kind of a culture is what I really want to bring about. I think the most important thing would be that, like I've already said, 0 to 3, there is no rewind, and it's extremely important. And you are the biggest and the best influence that can be on the child's life. You, meaning the parents, the grandparents, and the immediate family, and not Miss Rachel. I know the world is headed towards smart boards, and not headed, we're already there, and AI tools for learning and teaching and all of that. But nothing really touches a student or makes an impact like real life interaction and contextual learning. So unless and until it is in context, unless and until it is through real interaction, that really doesn't go down deep inside. And to remember that every time, I mean, what they call the human touch. And we have data today to prove that all those countries that used technology in education early on, especially in the primary years, are doing way worse in academics in PISA scores much later. And while the world is returning and coming back to, ditching even the Scandinavian countries, which were the first to adopt technology in education, are now saying, okay, we made a mistake and we're going back, and they're accepting it. We are going in the opposite direction and using AI tools and all of these things more and more and more in education and at our homes. And it's not doing our children any good. And there is a recent study which has shown that this is the first generation that is doing worse than their ancestors or their previous generation in terms of IQ. Or my objective of doing the silent hijack is to just give you the information, to let you know that, okay, if you go in this direction, where are you headed and what can you expect? And make an informed choice of, okay, I know this and I know this is where I'm headed if I do this to my child or if I use this, but I'm okay going there. Or you want to say, oh, this is where I'm headed, then I don't want to, and change course. So giving the information and letting you make the choice, because I don't think there's anything better than self-regulation and self-governance, and hand-holding wherever people want. As a part of the Screen Smart campaign, which we are starting, our first project is a play called The Silent Hijack itself, which is basically the entire content of The Silent Hijack made into a play, which is going to be performed by a cast of 14 to 18 or 14 to 21-year-olds. And after which we have a lineup of things. And then we're going to launch the Screen Smart movement and the Screen Safe School project in schools officially. So I would really like the support of like-minded people, like-minded organizations who want to support our initiative. You're welcome to support us in any which way that you can, because we could use more hands and more support. Thank you.